when we look at this scenario is I had always hoped that the Fed was not politicized and it was independent, which is what Powell jumps up and down and screams. But when you've got him at his last meeting that he's there as chair, and they've been reasonably well in lockstep for the last few years, maybe a dissenter here and there, but reasonably well in lockstep. And in his last meeting, you've got people who have said that 4 people dissented, and then him saying, well, I'm going to stick around, which is a little bit of to assure that my power and control can make sure that this doesn't get politicized. To me, it almost speaks not just to him, but in general, there is a lot of political influence there. When you've got people that have waited till this end and a lot of pressure to toe the line. And maybe it's just this is such a fragile component of the global economy, not just the U.S. economy, that it's important that they stay in line. So, but I think the important component of this, Tom, is what we talk about here, right? Is what does this mean to wholesale distributors and manufacturers, right? So what the real play on this is that, if we're looking at developing a new facility or opening in a new market, this means that likelihood for the majority of the year that the money is going to cost you the same, and it's not going to be easier to access. This second article that we were talking about today from CNBC, talking about inside the Fed, Powell vows he won't be a shadow chair, but Warsh clash will be tough to avoid, which means he could get pushed out at some point. But it talks about the labor market in this article hitting the low signals the most since 1969. In distribution right now and manufacturing, but really in distribution, finding good people is really hard, and it has been for a number of years. We came out of the pandemic with people still getting free money, so why go to work? And then a lot of them went and found different jobs along the way, but it's harder and harder. So there's going to be likely pressure on wages and tough to get people, new people where you need them. And then if oil prices stay high through this whole thing, then we've got the supply chain issue that hits with that is raw materials and transportation costs are going to continue to stay high, right? It's tougher and tougher to get a container across the ocean, especially we've got an article later talking about the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal and the Strait of Hormuz and some of the impacts with that, right? We've got shipping costs are much higher. The cost to move a container is dramatically higher. And then if you've got trucks on the road, if you're a distributor and you've got delivery trucks out there, it's significantly more costly to have them out and about. So it would be very nice to see interest rates come down so we can see more expansion and more investment in the economy. Fuel prices come way down, and maybe some support to the labor market would certainly help the audience that we address.